the best diver in the world. Just the greatest. Honestly, my favorite dive watch, dude. This is easily my favorite dive watch.
Yeah, whatever, dude.
It's a great watch.
It's nice.
It's undeniably one of the sexiest watch cases ever made.
I agree.
Hi guys, I'm Patrick.
I'm Adam.
And welcome to...
Properly Wound.
Properly Wound, that's right. We put the oil on the wheel. The wheel of your watch. Guys, this is a show that offers you a consumer's opinion on everything watch related. And today we have an infamous watch. The modern variety of this watch.
Most talked about watch of the last 2 years.
Oh, easily. Seconded, I'd say, by its counterpart, its younger brother, the Y1545. 1545.
Yeah.
But guys, today we have in for review a Squale 1521. So this is the, again, famous or infamous, depending on what camp you're in, 50 Atmos. So this case has been in design for a very long time for this group. They've actually licensed out this case to numerous other groups, amongst the likes of Blancpain. There's a wide variety of groups that bought out not only the 1521 case, but some of their other case designs. So now here we have a vintage Squale case, and you can see the co-branding down at the bottom there, the Squale shark under the minute hand. But this was something that Pesca Sub hired Squale to do, and they put the little, what is it, that Von Buren crown logo on the crown, and then of course you have the other logo, which is the shark, on the dial. And it's just something they did because they took pride in their case design, and I honestly think they should. And they put that on the watch themselves, so you know that you're getting a Squale, because it is a mark of craftsmanship, or at least it was. So before we get into the review, Adam's owned the sunburst dial variant of this watch, I believe.
No, I had the blue.
You had the blue.
I had that exact one.
You had this exact one?
I had that exact sunburst.
Really? No kidding.
The match with
Paco
the
blue.
Yeah.
So Adam's owned one, I've owned one. This is more than a week in the life. I've owned this for quite a long time, and I actually intend to keep it in my collection. But why don't we get some of the touchy subjects out of the way. So, Squale, people don't like modern Squale because they feel it's a hoax. There's some bad business practices here. There's undisclosed information as to where these watches are actually constructed, and I mean to say the parts. A lot of it is believed to be constructed in China, and I guess I'm okay with that. The issue is it says made in Switzerland on the dial, or rather Swiss made. So I think that's the point of contention for a lot of people, and there's also a lot of quality control issues I've heard about. Now, this is actually my third Squale. Before the channel ever started, I had a 1545, and we can talk about that briefly while we do this video. But I also had a Squale Tiger, and those watches were incredibly accurate and really beautiful. So the Tiger, and I mean the final edition that was limited, and they're all gone now, used a 2892, but most of their watches use an ETA 2824. Horrible quality control issues in regards to time accuracy.
Yeah.
Nothing in standard with ETA movement, let alone the fact that maybe some of the parts are made in China and it's constructed over there and then brought to Switzerland. I forget where the factory is to be made there.
Right.
Those are some of the gripes that people have. I think I summarized that in about a minute. Okay. Here are the good notes when it comes to Squale. They have these classic case designs, some that are still in production, like the 2002 and the 1521, that are unique to the brand. And they've sort of revolutionized the game with their case design as well as their ingenuity, particularly speaking of the 2002. But the 1521 is the one that everyone talks about because it's been popularized by modern collectors and other YouTube personalities.
Certain
personalities. And rightfully so, because it is a brand with heritage, although it's been sort of skewed in modern times, particularly with the onset of their homage watch, the 1545. And let me just say this. If they have to make the 1545 to keep producing other watches that are unique to them, like the Tiger, like the 1521 and the 2002, I'm okay with that.
Fair enough.
Insofar as the build quality is concerned, this is my third one, and I haven't had any major issues. Have you had issues with
No, never had a single issue with any of mine.
So with that out of the way, guys, if it's your money and you're interested in spending your money on this watch, take my opinion however you choose, or Adam's in that instance. Let's get to the review.
Let's do it.
So In my hand, I'm holding the Opaco Blue Squale 1521. So it gets its name because it has a satinato finish, which is to say, I believe they call it ocean blasted is their language, but it's a bead blasted case. So it has a very nice matte finish. We have a lot of lights in the studio today, so you're not getting the full effect of that finish, but you can tell it just catches light very, very well. And it's just a stealthier appeal. And so that matte finish actually follows to the bezel insert and the dial. Instead of having that, famous Squale blue sunburst finish on the dial, you have this beautiful matte finish that I actually prefer. When it comes to tool watches, and particularly divers, I don't like flashy watches. I prefer matte dials. So this is right in line with what I like.
Plus the blue complements the bead blast.
Definitely.
Exceptionally well.
Definitely. And this is a aftermarket strap I bought. This is a Benedetto Cinturini, and Squale has been known to use Benedetto Cinturini straps in their production of watches for a long time. So I picked this up, and I believe it actually came with a different Benedetto Cinturini strap with a signed buckle, but I actually prefer this orange strap. It's summer here, and I like how it matches the minute hand. It's just a good look overall. It just looks like a fun, playful watch. So I'll let Adam give his opinion first before I give mine. But
oh boy, here we go.
Why don't we talk about those dimensions really quick while Adam lets you know his thoughts. So
okay, so things that I love.
So it's about 42 millimeter width on the crown, and the case itself, guys, is actually not as wide. I believe it measures to be 41, if I'm not mistaken. Exactly 41 millimeters in width. So it's the bezel itself is a 42, but the case itself is 41, and then it sort of tapers down on the back, so it wears even smaller.
So it's listed as a 42, right?
Yeah, but that's literally just the bezel.
But it definitely wears like a 40.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, what are your thoughts? You've owned one. You've owned the same one.
Yeah, God, these get so much hate, but I hate to say that I really, really do like it. You know what? The biggest thing that I really like, the blue is obviously gorgeous, right?
Oh yeah.
There's
the way they
no
do blues over at their factory, wherever that factory is really nice. You can't deny how beautiful this watch is.
There's a couple things that I really like. I really like the stamp at the bottom. The Squale logo, I think, just looks cool.
Oh, that bottle opener shark.
Yeah, and I still think
really cool
I still think that the whole Italian heritage that it has with diving competitions back in the 60s. I think
so sick.
It's that's pretty cool, and they even offered Squales as prizes for deep dive or some different competitions, right? So things that I really like, the case is so unique. What I really like is the asymmetrical nature of the case. So that you have the sort of you can see the edges on the crown side that come to a point there, and then it's beautifully curved on the other side. Now the Squale stamp, I could do without that.
I could definitely do without that.
But, it definitely has that vintage dive watch case aesthetic.
This is the same case they were producing back, what was it, in the 60s? I forget when they introduced the 1521, but this is to the T exactly what they were producing. When this watch came out originally. What is it? There's so many random brands. I think Davis is one, Pesca is one. Yeah. There's all these random brands that you've probably never heard of that hired Squale to make cases for them, and you know it because there's a Squale logo on the back and there's a shark on the front. Yeah. And to me, as a collector, I actually find the case aesthetic very, very beautiful. And I'll actually just highlight my Pesca Samba. It's down here. So this is something I picked up recently, a new old stock, and this is utilizing a quartz movement. I believe it's an ETA-based quartz movement, don't quote me. But the Y1515 was a medium style case for them, which measures about 36 millimeters in width, and actually says Squale medium on the bottom there. But this is a 30 Atmos case in a thin, small, beautifully designed, and this is completely original Squale too. It looks like a macro attachment lens for a camera. I absolutely love it. But here are some of the hallmarks of a Squale diver. You have these large, oversized bezels, that usually overhang off the sides of the case, like this one does. You have this asymmetrical case that's absolutely stunning. You would have seen this watch featured in a previous New York Minute with Nick Pardo. I'll leave a card for you guys so you can see that. but I've been absolutely smitten with this watch. I've been wearing this watch non-stop. So this is a vintage Squale, where everyone knew it was made over in Switzerland. And this one actually features a tritium loom on the dial. But what's unique about this is that it has a dial face that's very reminiscent of their Master Series with the square indices instead of the circular ones. And I absolutely love that.
And you got the orange hand too.
Yeah, it's actually it looks reddish now. I don't know how it was originally, but it's absolutely beautiful. And of course, classically, high polished case all over, very easy to shine up, and then you have a big light bezel. It's just a phenomenal little watch, and honestly, my grab and go, and it's been my grab and go every single day.
Yeah.
So this sort of stylistic approach that Squale takes with their watches is continued with the 1521, and this is the larger brother of what the 1515 is.
And I will say, honestly, like, this is the perfect size.
Oh yeah, 41? 41.
Yeah.
The case itself is 41. Don't listen to what the
right.
website says or any sort of advertisers. The bezel itself is 42, but the case is definitely 41.
But man, and that orange hand is so cool just because it's so signature to Squale. But the biggest thing that I love, besides the case, is how fat and thick that bezel is.
Oh my gosh.
And even just spinning, the actual bezel action itself, like every time you spin it, it almost feels like your entire hand's shaking because it's such a deliberate click, It's almost like it's like a bumper system on steroids, kind of.
Yeah.
But the bezel action is fantastic, and it's really easy to actually spin because the bezel overhangs the case, which makes it really fun to just sort of spin around. I actually forgot how fun it is, and I'm just sitting here doing this like constantly.
It's great though.
But I think the design of this watch is one of the best. I think for sure. The case. There's something about the case. I think you really need to see one of these in person too to sort of appreciate the case design and sort of the proportions on this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have such a great series of watches. I'm actually looking for a few different Squales now, some vintage ones. But if you wanted to get a modern 1521, I say go for it. You can, of course, find these vintage if you are a little bit fishy of their current manufacturing situation or you are concerned about quality control. I say go for a vintage one. If you want the 1521 styling, because to me, and I'll say this here on Properly Wound, I think this is one of the best designed dive watch cases ever.
Yeah.
I think it is one of the most aesthetically pleasing cases I've ever seen. And I'm not even just talking about the coloration of the dial and the bezel insert, how it matches perfectly, the painted loom on the dial, which isn't the greatest. And I'll get to some technical niggles as well. But I love the recessed crown at 4 o'clock. I mean, it just digs into the case. There's like 0 crown guards because you don't need them when the crown is buried that far into the case.
Yeah.
Now, while I will say it does make operation a little difficult sometimes, it's aesthetically pleasing when you look at the watch, and I'm never concerned about it jamming into anything. So again, guys, honestly, one of my favorite case designs ever, and for me, it's a keeper. I absolutely love how it looks, and first and foremost, when it comes to me, when I'm as a collector and as just a general consumer, I prefer that a watch look nice on my wrist more over anything. I rotate my watches so quickly that time accuracy, while important, isn't of the extreme importance, because usually my watches will run out of their power reserve before I ever get back to them, and then I'm setting them back to the proper time anyways. Right. So within the 2 or 3 days that I have them, if it loses 15 seconds within those 3 days, I'm okay, because I'm on to the next watch, and that's how my rotation works. However, this has been very accurate for me, the ETA movement in here, and that's really cool because Squale has a relationship with ETA that's long stemming. They've always used ETA movements in their watches, so you're getting quality ETA movement in here. But guys, the bezel action, phenomenal. And one thing I'd like to note is that it's actually a 60-click bezel, and I will say, I wish every dive watch was 60-click.
Yeah, me too.
I wish every dive watch was 60-click, but I actually prefer bidirectional bezels. And moreover that, I actually prefer friction-based bezels.
Oh, that's a no for me.
Call me old-fashioned. I actually prefer friction-based bezels.
I don't. I love, probably just because I love how clicks feel.
That's
true. Kind of like the fidget spinner thing. If you guys will see the fidget spinner article on Properly Wound.
Yeah.
That's basically what I do sitting at my desk. I'm just sitting there spinning the bezel. I love hearing those clicks and feeling them.
And so you have a beautiful 60-click bezel, really tight action, one of the best actions on a crown I've ever felt. I mean, second to the Marine Master, clearly. I mean, you know, a watch like that is definitely of a higher caliber. But for under $1,000, I think you're getting a phenomenal watch with great heritage. That's a modern diver. You know, at that 50 Atmos rating, I feel pretty confident saying that if you're a diver, you can probably get away with that if you're wearing this watch. I mean, that's deeper into the water than I will ever take this, so I know I'm fine with it. But it's amazing. It's a real technical marvel that they're able to fit all, you know, the 50 Atmos chassis in something this small is really, really incredible. It's like as a technical feat. I've seen divers that have that same depth rating that are, you know, twice the size and certainly much thicker than this. And just to give you the thickness, because we've gone all the other dimensions out of the way, it actually uses a 20 millimeter lug width, and it's about, let's just see how thick this sucker is. And it is about 13 millimeters thick, so not that thick. And what's really nice is the sapphire crystal is flush against the bezel, so there's never really any concern, this flat crystal, of getting bumped or dinged or dented. I believe they have the Squale series uses like a domed crystal, so aesthetically it's a little different. I don't know if they have any modern 1521s with a domed crystal if you prefer that look. It does add a little bit of an aesthetic difference. But for me, I love how this bead blasted look is followed onto the chapter ring. It's just a beautiful, sleek, stealthy looking diver. You know, there's not much else to say about it.
It really isn't.
And honestly, to me, it's a better look than a lot of divers. This is genuinely one of my favorite looking dive
and
watches.
Unique too.
Yeah, to Squale, this is the I believe there's a brand, and I forget the brand. Let me see if I can find a photo to put up for you guys. But there's a brand that actually copied this Squale 1521 case styling to produce watches for Hoyer, 1,000-meter diver. I'll try to find the picture and some info, and I'll throw that up on the screen for you. But they copied this case; it was so popular. You know, so it's not crazy to like this. If you like this watch, you're not crazy. I certainly don't feel crazy, at least not for liking this watch. It's a lovely timepiece. It's got a great universal lug width of 20 millimeters. It's a great size for the average wrist. And it just wears incredibly well. There's not much else to say. And also, you can get it with a Milanese strap. It's a mesh strap that you can get for this watch, that's made for this watch. It comes either on that, a leather strap, or a rubber strap. And I believe the rubber strap, is from Benedetto Santorini as well. Yeah, guys, you cannot go wrong. This is a great dive watch. I definitely suggest you try to pick one up first before you buy it, if at all possible. That's really not a thing you can do unless there's a store that happens to stock these. There certainly isn't in New York.
Yeah. So if there isn't one in New York, there isn't one anywhere.
It's tough, but if you have a friend with one, get one in your hands and you'll see what I'm talking about, because it's absolutely lovely. But even on this old dive watch, that's never been serviced. The bezel action on that is still tight and like fantastic.
I dig it.
I absolutely love the Squale case design. It's unique to them. If you want this style of case, this is the only way you can get it. So what else can you say? Anyway, guys, if you like this video, feel free to hit that like button. If you disliked it, that is okay too. That means you don't like modern Squale, and that's fine. It's not for everyone, but it's certainly for me. And again, guys, you can find these on the used market for like $600. So take a gamble. You're going to get your money back for it if you don't like it, or just grab a friend who has one and ask if they'll let you borrow it. It's definitely worth it.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, follow us on Instagram at Properly Wound. Follow us, join our Facebook group, like our Facebook page, Properly Wound also.
That's fun too. And I'll leave links to that in the description as well.
And check out properlywound.com. We have 3 blogs coming out per week, and a lot of other goodies on there. So hope to see you guys in the Facebook group soon.
Yeah. And anyway, guys, thank you for joining us here over on the YouTube page. We will see you later.
Later.